Hello, welcome back to the Healthy Enterprise. My guest for this episode is Dan Goldberger. He is the CEO and director of electroCore. Dan is a highly accomplished C-level executive with over 25 years of leadership experience in life sciences and healthcare. We got a lot to talk about. Welcome, Dan. It's great to have you here with me, and looking
Thrilled to
forward
meet
to
you,
this
Heath. I
chat.
really appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. So, tell me about electroCore. I've been on the website, and I'm super fascinated by what's happening
Well,
over
thank
there.
you.
Explain what you do.
Yeah, so electroCore is a up and coming young company. Like all overnight successes, this has been going. This is our 20 year anniversary this year. So um,
Oh, wow.
my name is Dan Goldberger. I'm the CEO of electroCore, a small publicly traded company. The ticker is ECOR. The website is electrocore.com. The company was established to commercialize our invention around non-invasive vagus nerve stimulation. The products that we sell today are available by prescription for treating headache, for treating migraine headache and cluster headache. We are working towards a label expansion to treating the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. There are a variety of other benefits that come from the technology. And we also have a family of products based on the same technology that are health and wellness products for treating, managing stress, for quality of sleep, for focus and attention, what the professionals call cognitive enhancement. That's a smaller part of our business today, but it's been growing disproportionately fast. And the future for us is very, very bright.
Yeah, I was looking there. You're tackling some amazing medical issues. I saw in there even opioid use disorder,
Mhm.
gastroenterology, Parkinson's disease.
Yeah,
So,
the
it's
pipeline for vagus nerve stimulation is
it's
astounding.
huge. Yeah.
Implanted vagus nerve stimulators have been available since the mid 1990s. I mean, implant is actually a small surgical procedure.
Right.
So you can get an implanted vagus nerve stimulator to treat epilepsy, to treat depression. The founders of this company were actually looking at epilepsy and discovered a non-invasive way to deliver the same therapy. And in the process of doing trials, clinical trials, pivoted to work on headache, mostly because it's easier and faster to run trials in headache. So the core
Right. That makes sense.
technology works in epilepsy. It has a profound anti-inflammatory effect, which spans a variety of medical conditions and leads to our health and wellness positioning. Um, but we have investigator initiated clinical trials running in post traumatic stress disorder, in substance abuse, in stroke, in Parkinson's disease. There was last month, there was a publication about traumatic brain injury or concussion. So as we get more data, the platform technology becomes even more exciting for a variety of indications, and it's an incredibly benign safety profile. There really are no profound side effects. We do from time to time hear about skin irritation at the treatment site, which is may or may not be a contraindication, but it's very rare when it does happen. So the, it's a rare combination of really benign safety profile, fascinating pipeline of beneficial clinical data, and because this isn't a drug, um, all of our indications and the things we're working on are standalone therapies but also adjunctive. In other words, you can use our device to treat a headache in addition to Botox for headache or triptans for headache
Hmm.
or the CGRP antibodies that are advertised heavily. So,
Right. So it doesn't conflict
as
with other
a
therapies.
yep, there you go.
Yeah. So maybe let's explain a little bit how it works. I mean, the vagus nerve is like the longest nerve in the
Hmm.
parasympathetic system, right?
Yeah,
So how does this device actually work? Like, how do you actually deliver this? And what is it doing? What is it actually
you're absolutely
achieving?
right. The vagus nerve obviously communicates with the brain, but it interacts with all of the major organ systems in the body, both to collect information and send it to the brain, and then to signal to the different organ systems what to do. As it happens anatomically, the vagus nerve travels in the same sheath as the carotid artery through the neck.
Oh, okay.
And so
Mm-hmm.
you can find it, you can palpate your neck, you can find the carotid artery, you can feel it pulsing. Our portable handheld nerve stimulator, this is our Gamma Core Sapphire, it's our flagship device. There, you can find it on our website as well. There are better pictures of it. Um,
Yeah, I saw it on there. Yeah.
there are two electrodes on the business end of the device. And so we train our customers to palpate the neck, find the carotid artery, hold the finger there, turn this on, and hold it there, like that. It's programmed to deliver a 2-minute stimulation. So you hold it in place and it'll shut itself off. You can feel it. It's not uncomfortable, but you can definitely feel that it's tingling the nerve and energizing the nerve.
Hmm.
And
Does it
for
pulse or anything, or just a constant? Is it a pulse or is it
it
constant?
feels like a constant, like if you put your fingers across a battery, right, you'll feel that
Right.
constant
Right. Little tiny
steady
buzz.
state
Yeah. Okay.
tingling.
Yeah.
um, and two basic modalities for acute treatment of headache. I'm very fortunate. I do get migraine headaches, but very occasionally. When I feel like I have a headache coming on, I take it out of my pocket, I treat myself. I can usually abort that headache with one or
Is that
two
right?
stimulations.
Right.
And uh, so that acute treatment of I feel like something's coming on, I can treat it,
Right.
is one of our indications. The other protocol is prevention. And
Mm-hmm.
in prevention, we suggest that our customers use this twice a day. So think morning and evening, like brushing your teeth. And the pivotal data showed a statistically significant reduction in the number of headache days for people who were compliant with using it regularly every 2 days, every
Right.
twice a
So it's a
day.
consistent.
So two
Right.
minutes in the morning, 2 minutes
Hmm.
in the evening. I'd love to
Wow.
say that I do it consistently, but I don't brush my teeth every day either. So, but there's the human nature sort of fits in there as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. For those of us that know people that experience those kinds of headaches, those migraines, it's
Yeah.
devastating. Like it takes them out for the day. I have a friend that has them, and it's like
Yes.
when they start coming on, she abandons everything and she heads home. She closes the curtains, she shuts the doors,
Right.
and no one can talk to her for hours. And it's devastating. Like, I mean,
It's
it's something like it would be a miracle for
absolutely.
someone like that.
And not only is the headache debilitating, but the drugs, the triptans, for example, are the first line therapy for migraine. They
Right.
have their own side effects. They make you
Yeah.
drowsy.
Yeah.
There's a warning about driving and operating heavy equipment, and so people are left with that that choice of, do I take the drugs that make me feel less than, or do I suffer through the headache and not have the side effects?
Right.
It's not
Right.
a it's an unpleasant trade off.
Yeah. This is a liberating alternative for sure. Wow.
I
So that
like that.
must
I'm
be
going to
that. I
start
mean, that's
using that liberating alternative language. That's good.
well, yeah, like the freedom to pull it out of your pocket and treat
Hmm.
something like that. I mean, amazing. And then
Yeah.
issues like PTSD are obviously deeper rooted and have their own sort of they have their
But
own
it's
different types of
but you can
reactions.
use it in the same way, right? For
Right,
for people who feel that stress building and that panic attack
right.
coming on, you can get immediate relief. And
Yeah,
prophylactically, that
wherever you
same
are.
twice a day program has been shown to reduce the number of PTSD episodes. Same
Wow, wow,
similar to what
that's
we do in head.
incredible.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
incredible.
think so.
So it doesn't surprise me what attracted you to this company when you were looking to make your move to
Hmm.
electrocore. I mean, this is a pretty intriguing and exciting place to
Yeah,
be, I would imagine.
yeah, yeah. For I've been. I'm not a young man any longer. I've been in general management of medical technology businesses for a long time,
Yeah,
and
over
this one
35
is
years, I think.
pretty special. So uh,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
very fortunate to be here.
That's a good segue into a couple of my questions, and one of them is like, share with me some pivotal moments for you that helped shape your leadership style in your career. I mean, you started in
Hmm.
this work 35 years ago. You must have learned a few things along the way. Is there anything you could share about what helped pivot you and give you the tools you needed?
Yeah, that's a big question. I learned a lot of things that I didn't want to do
Yeah.
along the way. um, so, you know, two very important findings. One is people, and the other is access to capital. And on people, um, look, at the end of the day, when you're trying to build a business, you are completely and totally reliant on the people that you surround yourself with. And
Yeah.
there's never been a good way um, to evaluate people and attract people. It's not just money; it's shared values, it's work
Right.
ethic. The money has to be fair, but from 30, 40 years ago, let's see, when did I start? In the late 70s. Um, you know, so 50 years ago now. It was all about in-person interviews, and we've gone through a variety of semi-automated ways of getting to know people. But I think it still comes down to one-on-one and networks, as opposed to throwing resumes across the ether. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and on the access to capital side, that's always hard.
Yeah.
When it feels like the stock market is going up, it's hard to find money for small businesses, and when the stock market goes down, it's even harder to find money for small businesses. But
Mm-hmm.
um, having a cash balance covers a lot of difficulties and gives you the
Mm-hmm.
time and the breathing room to make good decisions for the long term.
And I'm glad you brought up the concept of people because reading your background, you stated that culture is really important to you, and so
Hmm.
the fact that you brought up people and that somehow you had to find a way, and whichever organization you were at, but you find a way to approach that and building a strong, healthy culture within those organizations. So, how do you? What were some of the key techniques you used to do that?
Wow. So a lot of it is leading by example. I've earlier in my career, I've personally been in most of the functional roles. Right, I started off in product development. I did quite a bit of my time in operations, both manufacturing and supply chain. I've been a CFO. Um, And the vast majority of my tenure has been in sales, whether I've been running a sales organization or in senior management. In senior management, 120% of what you do is still sales. Either you're selling product to customers, you're selling a
Right.
project, an internal project to various constituents, or you're marketing the company, right? You're selling stock,
Right. Right.
supporting the stock. So sales become very, very important, and and people uh, leading by example, I think, is the most powerful tool. Right? You can talk a lot, but people really read into your team, your staff really reads into your actions more than your
Right.
words. And
Right. And
um,
that's how, how you get them to buy into the mission or the vision or the goals that
right,
you've set. And yeah, that
yep.
makes
So
sense.
I try to walk the walk, and
Right.
rely less on talking the talk. Um, and morality and ethics and how you treat everybody up and down the organization. I keep discovering it makes more of an impression than you realize in the moment. Try not to get too upset when things go bad,
Right.
and celebrate when things go well, and make sure
Right.
everybody recognizes that things are going well, and you got to appreciate when they're going well, because they're going to go bad sooner or later.
That's right. One thing we can rely on is nothing stays the same for long. It always
Yeah,
fluctuates and shifts and
yeah,
dips and dives and peaks, right?
right. and
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 part of
embrace the change, because
right.
the change is going to happen. nobody
Yeah,
Nobody
change is
promised that it
inevitable,
would
and
stay the same.
it's where we grow the most is during the change, right? That's where we learn
Exactly.
more and fail more, unfortunately. Um, and I mean, you're no stranger to tough decisions. That's part of your job.
Hmm.
Tough decisions, hard conversations.
Right.
If you were, talking to somebody who's, halfway through their career and they're kind of climbing the corporate ladder and they're getting to that point where what kinds of, you know, um, what kind of skills does someone need to know to kind of enter those conversations? Does it just come with practice? The more you do it, the easier it gets, or the just maybe not easier, but it just becomes more innate.
So I know that's true for me, right? I learn by doing. I learn by screwing up. Um, I'm not very good at book learning or learning from others. I have to make my own mistakes, and my
Right.
wife tells me about it. Um, and listening uh, is an underrated skill, right? Listening for meaning uh, is becomes. I just can't under you know you can't listen enough. You learn something from everybody you interact with, your customers, your suppliers, and certainly
Right.
your employees and your peers. Patience, right? It's never as bad as you think it is, and it's probably never as good as you think it is. And trying. It's very hard to separate out the day-to-day annoyances from your long-term goals and visions, and we all have to balance that. And what the
Right.
right balance for any particular person is a moving target. And I'd also come back to that earlier point of embrace the change. Right, the changes are going to happen. President Trump is going to do something that comes out of left field. Your dog is going to do something that distracts you for an hour, and and it's a mindset thing. But if an executive can thrive in a changing environment, that's a culture that becomes far more resilient over the long haul.
That's good advice, actually. Yeah. Things have changed a lot over the time in your
Right.
career in life sciences. And so, what are you most excited about what's coming up, in the world of, you would call it, a bioelectric electronic,
Yeah,
right?
so we are heavily invested in what others call bioelectronic medicine. Um, Peter Stotts is our chief medical officer, co-founder of the company. He's had an
Hmm.
incredible academic career in pain management. And what he points out is that in Western medicine, we are overwhelmingly relying on pharmaceuticals, which are biochemical. But the human body is really an electrical machine, right? The heart is an electric motor. The
Yeah, it's
brain
all
is,
energy. Yeah.
it's all electrical energy. And, uh, for whatever reasons, uh, in life sciences, we've put far more emphasis on biochemistry instead of bioelectronics. And there's so much that is possible once you have that understanding that so much of the functioning and malfunctioning of a human body is around bioelectronic signals. Whether it's a pacemaker for the heart, whether it's a nerve stimulator like what we do, um, a nerve stimulator for managing pain in the spine. I think we're just as a society beginning to invest in bioelectronics the way that we've been investing in biochemistry for many decades.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I remember was watching one of those videos, and he was talking about that the body, the natural state for health is homeostasis, and that gets interrupted, and that
Hmm.
for whatever reason, whether it's trauma or injury or something like that, that's what it's this tries to do. That it tries to reset that regular
Yeah.
pace or regular flow to bring the body back to homeostasis so that it can actually
Yep.
operate at its peak function, right?
That's a
That's what
lot
I
of what
got
we
from that.
do. The
Okay.
the vagus nerve is fundamentally involved in balance between the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous
Right.
system.
Amazing.
The sympathetic nervous system is the stuff that you're aware of, the stuff that makes you happy, the stuff that makes you angry. Parasympathetic nervous system is the stuff that keeps you alive, right? It keeps the heart beating, it keeps your
Yeah.
um, tells you to breathe so that you don't have to be conscious of breathing, and those get out of balance. So we talk about you're in a rest and digest state after you've had a nice family meal, or you're
Hmm.
in the fight or flight state when you have a car accident. And
Right.
what stimulating the nervous system does is restore balance. And so if you're agitated, if you're in that fight or flight state, stimulating the vagus nerve will bring you down. Conversely, if you're in the rest or digest and you're on the verge of taking a nap, kind of like caffeine, stimulating the vagus nerve will bring you back up and return you to
Oh,
homeostasis.
interesting.
That's
Okay.
the
So
right
you
word to
kind of
use.
bring them both down. Okay,
Level
that's
setting.
interesting.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And
And so
and when
people
you
that
think
are
about it in that context, it's oversimplified, but when you think about it in that context,
yeah.
you can see how powerful the technology fundamentally is in both a health and wellness setting, right? For healthy people who are just getting through the day. I find I use less caffeine than I used to
Hmm.
before I had access to the vagus
Hmm.
nerve stimulator.
Hmm.
And then even more so for medical conditions um, like PTSD and headaches and some of the other things that we're working on.
And so individuals that are, you know, starting to feel like they're about to experience an episode or some sort of situation is stimulating that
Exactly.
feeling instead of reaching for a bottle of pills, they're reaching for this device and they're
Exactly.
getting almost immediate immediate support from that. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, and
Very
in
powerful.
fact, the Air Force, U.S. Air Force, has done a surprising amount of research. Most of it hasn't been published, but the story that I like the best is around a cohort of ISR specialists, which are the drone pilots and it's generally two people, one flying the vehicle, one managing the guns.
Right.
They shown that for that cohort of drone pilots who had access to the vagus nerve stimulator, they were more accurate in identifying a target and discerning between a target. The what they used to talk about is telling the difference between a Humvee and a school bus, for example, discerning between a
Right.
target and what it
Right.
isn't a target, and they were also faster at it. And that's
Interesting.
that
So,
cognitive enhancement that I mentioned earlier. But the
hmm
knock-on effect was that these young men and women were using less stimulants, right? Less caffeine when they were on shift. And
hmm,
then when they went off shift, they didn't have to self medicate to come down from the
come down.
stimulant, right? So
Right.
they're not using as much alcohol or whatever we use to self medicate and relax. And that
Right.
became a virtuous cycle of less
Right.
stimulants to get through the shift, less depressants to come down again, get healthier, have more energy.
Right.
Really a fascinating finding. So
Yeah. No
we're
kidding.
we're we're excited about making that concept available to consumers.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess if you look at the way certain occupations require a certain level of,
Exactly.
hype or awareness or energy, like whether, mostly first responder and people
Podcasters,
in.
for example.
Yeah, exactly. Like I need one of those right now.
Yes.
but I think that's a great example, is that it's somebody that in higher stress environments where
Hmm.
they feel that. I mean, we all feel how that feels like when we get stressed and
Right.
we're getting anxious and we're feeling that build up, and we either go, full anger or rage or whatever direction we go to release. But when you're in
Exactly.
situations like that, you don't really have the opportunity to release. Therefore, I guess that's where it gets sort of suppressed and packed away. And then, so this is
Yep.
allowing them to push through it, but in a way that allows it to flow naturally. Yeah, that's really cool.
Well said. Yep.
Awesome. Cool.
That's what we're doing.
So let's talk about the changes that you've seen over the years in all your various roles. Um, you talked about sales earlier about,
Hmm.
and that, right now you, particularly in the healthcare, I find that you have multiple customers or target audiences. Like you said, you've
Always.
got investors, you've got end product users, you've got providers who are going to, recommend the product to their patients, and then
Yep.
you have other stakeholders and shareholders and everything else. So over the years, marketing has played a pivotal role in everything we do when we're selling our product or service.
Yep.
Um, how do you see that has changed now than when you started your career? Obviously, we were in more traditional media like newspaper, magazine,
Right.
television, radio. How is it for you guys now? Like, how complicated is the marketing space?
It gets more complicated every quarter. Um,
Right.
and you said it very well, right? 50 years ago, how did you build awareness, right? Well, you talk to people,
Hmm.
and you used print and telephone. I remember when fax. I remember the first fax
Yeah.
machine that I ever
The
saw
fax.
in a
I
professional
think
setting.
lawyers still use fax machines, actually.
And so do doctors to fax
Yes,
in
that's right,
prescriptions.
too.
Yeah. So the internet, electronic media has vastly multiplied our productivity and in our ability to build awareness. Along with it comes just a whole lot of noise that everybody in your audience is familiar with, right?
Yeah.
What are you really going to pay attention to? What are you going to listen to? Um,
Yeah.
in our field, we do a little bit of all of it, right? To sell our products, we have to educate the doctors and nurses who are going to prescribe. We do what we can to build awareness among end users, men and women who suffer from headache, most specifically.
Right.
Um, some of our competitors on the pharmaceutical side have very large advertising budgets. You see Botox for headache, advertised
Yeah.
on primetime TV. I haven't seen a Super Bowl commercial yet, but they're definitely doing primetime TV advertising, which
Yeah.
we don't have that kind of a budget. So it's harder for us to compete with
Yeah.
that. Um, and so we don't use print as much anymore, but we do use email and Instagram and Facebook, and not as much TikTok. Um, we're not as active on X. But we also use old fashioned people. We have
Right.
a customer service team, which is in person, and they do a lot of Zoom calls like this. Um, our field salespeople are out knocking on doors, going into hospitals, and talking directly
Right.
to clinicians. We also have to communicate with the supply chain people, the purchasing agents. We have to be on contract. There's the concept in medicine, in life sciences, of the third party payer, and that's
Right.
also a very important audience. And how do you reach that audience is even more obscure and takes even
Right.
more legwork. Our marketing executive calls it omni-channel, right?
Yep. That's right.
Uh, we don't do much with traditional broadcast media. We just can't afford to, but
Yeah.
whatever we can afford, and so much of what we do is just awareness and getting our name out
Hmm.
there.
Are people able to access the devices directly, or do they have to go
Yeah,
through a doctor? Oh, they can buy
yeah.
direct.
So
It's
you can
not
go
necessarily.
to our consumer brand is called Truvega. You can go to truvega.com, and I think it's $500 now. We have we call it the Truvega Plus. It's a mobile app enabled version of our technology for health and wellness applications. So it's lower energy, lower strength than our prescription model that we sell for headache and PTSD. But yeah, you can go to the website and buy one.
Hmm. Yeah, that's great. Then that's just sort of another direct, more e-commerce version of what you do too. So that's there's
Exactly.
many. Yeah, no kidding. Omni-channel.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Um, so with that, I mean, we've seen a huge increase in AI use of
Hmm.
automation. How are you guys taking advantage of that, or are you?
We're dabbling. We're not
Yeah.
aggressive. We're not moving aggressively. We use it internally to generate copy, to generate
Mm,
product ideas. Um, our some of our constituents in larger medical practices are collecting data from our mobile app and starting to think about how they could apply AI to the usage patterns that they see through our backend portal. But we're not. It's not a strategic leg of our development at this point in time. And
hmm.
obviously, I'm not closing the door on it. We're just not
No,
going there right now.
it's still early days. We have so much more is coming the way. I don't even think the wave has really hit yet, but I mean, it's just rising constantly. The level. I
Right.
mean, in our industry, it's been mind-boggling. It's been devastating. It's been elevating. It's all those
Yeah.
things. It's hit some areas really hard and enhanced more areas in its path. It's
Right.
like, uh, I mean, I became a photographer in 1991. That was my first coming out of school, and I
Hmm.
learned on paper and chemicals, and in 2004 I had to decide if I was going to shift to the digital era. And I remember many didn't make the
Many
shift.
didn't.
They said,
Yep.
no, I'm not going that
There's
way. I'm
there is
staying.
still a certain magic to having the tray of chemicals and seeing the
Yeah,
image kind of
yeah,
appear.
it's magic. Yeah,
But
and a lot of people have never seen that actually happen. But it reminds me of going through many different eras of digital transformation. I mean,
right,
there was no internet for me growing up, right? Or for us, it's like we've made so much progress in the last 25 years.
yeah. And photography is
Um,
a brilliant example, right? It
yeah,
it took a lot of work to get one image, and now you get 1,000 images, and you don't know which one is the best. So you've
that's right.
right,
And the cost to get
and
one
and
image
the
too.
cost
I
of
mean,
that incremental
you
image.
you
Yeah.
couldn't just fire off 400 pictures like we do today if you're a wedding
Yep.
photographer or whatever, because every frame, every snap was a cha-ching, and,
It's
and it
right.
ate into your
it
profits.
used it was a substantial pay per click. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's the original paperclip.
Yep.
So, looking back 25 years, if you were standing in front of Dan, who just walked out the door of Stanford, what advice would you give him moving into the career that he's going into? What would you tell him? What would you say? What to avoid? What to jump? What to do
Wow.
better or do
So
worse
first of
or
all,
do less of?
it was more like 45 years ago, but I'll take the 25.
Okay. Hey,
Thank
I
you.
didn't want to like.
Thanks for that. Um, yeah. So I think that most of it would be uh, stay the course. Stick to your ethics. Morality is important. Treat people the way that you want to be treated. Don't sweat the small stuff. Especially when you're young, everything seems so monumental, is so important, and when you
Right.
get to the other end of your life, it's the vast majority of what I did at work. I don't remember, but I do remember the family times, the laughs, the camaraderie, that kind of stuff is what's really important in the grand scheme of things.
Right. That is good advice. Do you think instincts have played a big role in your growth?
Um, is it luck or instincts? Right? Is
Is it your gut? Yeah, your gut or luck, right?
or luck,
Yeah.
and right place at the right time. Somebody opens the door. Do you walk through it? Who knows? But
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
take
I
luck
I
over
hear
all of the others any day.
right, right. I hear that often is when people are thinking about, where they're at and in their careers, or whether they're young or more mature. It's a reset, particularly in healthcare and health tech, and is that
Hmm.
the original vision was to help others, to help
Yes.
people um, be better, feel better, do better, survive more, and live longer, whatever that is. And that, business does, there are things about business that kind of get in the way of that. And a lot of people have said, well, I just got to keep reminding myself why I'm doing this and why we're here and why I joined this company or why I started this company. And it was to help people and make
Yep.
people's lives better. And it seems to be a
That's
very
very well said.
consistent.
Yeah. You got to make a living. You got to provide for your family, but all things being equal, I would rather do something where the end product is going to relieve suffering or improve quality of life.
Awesome. Well, I am excited. I'm really excited that I learned about electric core, and
Great.
I'm going to tell my friend about it who's got migraines. And she's going to be really excited because she
Please
suffers
do.
immensely. So
Please do. Send her to Trudega.com.
I'm excited to see where you go, and maybe we'll have you on another episode sometime if you're into
Love
it.
to continue the conversation. Appreciate your time, Heath.
All right. Thank you so much, Dan, and it's been a pleasure to meet you. I really enjoyed my conversation with Dan. I can see how he has led large numbers of teams through various transitions in business, multi-million dollar corporations, because he chooses to lead by example and let his actions speak louder than words. It's easier to follow somebody when you see how they want you to behave, as opposed to just telling you. So anyways, great advice. And he wanted me to pass on that anybody who is interested in trying out one of the products, the devices, particularly those with migraine headaches, that you can go over to truvega.com, truvaga.com. And there is a discount code for anybody who has been listening to this podcast and would like to take advantage of using one of their devices. The code that you would type in for your discount is HEALTH10, HEALTH 10. So if you suffer from migraines, go check it out. I hope it works. And thank you again for listening to another episode. Stay tuned.